Okay, so good morning and welcome to our webinar, Mastering Q4 on Amazon, Strategies for the Busiest Season with RT7 Digital. Thank you for joining us today. I'm delighted to introduce today's speaker, Aaron Biash, Senior Client Strategist at RT7 Digital, who brings a wealth of insight and expertise to today's topic. Before we get started, we'll just go through a quick bit of housekeeping. To make sure everyone can hear the presentation clearly, everyone has been muted apart from the speaker. The session has been recorded and will be shared with you after the event. We'll hold a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. To submit a question, simply hover your cursor to the bottom of your screen. A toolbar will appear. Click on the Q&A option and type your question into the box provided. I'll then put your questions forward to Aaron at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'll hand over to Aaron to begin today's session.
Thank you so much, Sam, and hello everyone, and welcome to this Mastering Q4 on Amazon webinar. Sam says, my name is Aaron Biash, Senior Client Success Strategist at RT7, and really I'm excited here to essentially dive into strategies to help you and your brands make the most of this biggest retail quarter of the year. So to start, as many as you know, Q4 is what it is, a make or break period for online sellers with huge opportunities to boost and build your brands. But with competition heating up and advertising costs rising, it's really essential to have a solid plan now to go into place for this period. In a nutshell, when we're talking about conquering Q4 on Amazon, what this means really from our perspective is playing a smart game that combines both managing your stock, running exceptional advertising, and consistently tweaking your strategies to make sure you've got enough products ready for the big rush, planning your marketing campaigns ahead of time, and keeping an eye on what's hot really in your product category. So really it's about, when we're talking about getting the most out of your ads, you really need to stress about keeping a close eye on those rising costs and the use of the tacos metric, and really to stay on top of that. Making sure your product listings are super appealing, using the likes of the Amazon tools available to you, and target your ads to the right people to get them coming back for more. So essentially, after the busy season, focus on keeping your customers happy at the end of the day. Take a really good hard look at how you did and see where you can improve for the next year. Data at this stage is critical. Although Amazon, as we all know, is not the best in sharing actual customer data, there is true key data within the account that will be able to assist and guide you to build on strategies moving forward. So really by staying ahead of this curve and using that data to your advantage and being flexible, you'll be able to tackle the challenges of Q4 and make your business a real winner. Now, when we're talking about the key pillars to focus on for this session, we're going to be looking at account management, your organic content, campaigns, and inventory planning. How all of these combined are going to make a success for you in your activity for Q4. So looking at account management, this also kind of covers inventory management as well. And really it's crucial to stay ahead of ensuring your inventory is well stocked for high demand periods. How you do this, you'll start looking at the historical data from previous Q4 periods to anticipate demand spikes, work closely with suppliers to avoid potential delays, and plan a buffer stock to handle any unexpected surge in sales. Now you may be asking, other than looking at the data, how can I possibly forecast and plan around this? Really accurate forecasting on Amazon is not a thing, I would say. If you've been on Amazon for a while, you know their forecast planning tools aren't the best, but managing both demand and supply chain logistics effectively can really help optimize this. So by analyzing your past sales trends and that actual data from the account, you can better predict how much stock you'll need and when. So consider external factors such as seasonality trends, market conditions, and competitor behavior while planning your inventory levels. And really always keep in mind that during this Q4 period, not just yourself, but all the other brands and businesses that sell on Amazon will be sending stock in. So there will be a major delay in getting stock received into Amazon. So plan ahead, send it well in advance of Q4 and make sure that you are in stock. Because if you sell out and plan to send in within the period, it's going to be very unlikely stock reaches, and that will dramatically affect your campaign performance. Then, when we're looking at financial planning, so prepare what we would call a comprehensive budget that covers not just the stock replenishment, but also increased advertising and promotional activities. Cash flow management becomes particularly important in Q4, where rapid spending can occur, and always allocate a portion of your budget for unexpected costs such as urgent restocks or last-minute marketing pushes to make sure that you push the stock out as you need it. And then lastly, how you're going to monitor this performance and adjust in real time. We all know Q4 can be extremely and highly dynamic in terms of what's happening on the account and how things go. And what essentially worked last week might not work the next week. So continuously monitoring your account's performance metrics and being ready to adjust your strategies on the fly is something you need to be prepared for. So conduct what we would call A/B testing on various aspects, such as your ad creatives and product listings, to understand what resonates really the most with your customers and yield the highest conversion rates. Next, when we're talking about the organic side of things and what tools you have available and how you leverage these. So Amazon offers various tools like A+ content and enhanced brand content. This really can essentially significantly enhance your product listings, and these features help present product benefits more. Persuasively, potentially using high quality images, videos, and detailed descriptions can increase customer trust and conversion rates. So make sure all of your high priority listings are fully optimized with the tools available to you, and especially in advance of Q4. There is a settling period for when you do update titles and bullet points. Generally speaking, it's about 2 weeks, but as I mentioned, now is the time to do it. Test it, see if it's working, and do it in advance of the period that we're looking at. Next is understanding really your subcategory. So we all know about the main categories that we sell in, but the subcategories are really, I would say, much more of a focus in Amazon's eyes now. I'm not sure if everyone's noticed when you go on your listing, you used to be able to both see your primary category ranking as well as your subcategory. Now today, it's purely from a subcategory perspective, which is quite interesting. So how you can align this now within your peak. So each subcategory on Amazon has a unique trend and peaks. So understanding when your product demand is likely to rise in Q4 and adjust your account or from an organic perspective on the content and advertising accordingly. You will then want to regularly monitor competitor activities, your top keywords, what top products are performing, both yours and your competitors within your subcategory, and then identify opportunities to exploit those, either by targeting those top products on your competitors or pushing for keywords that you see your competitors aren't going for. And then on the flip side, saving you potentially on your CPCs. Looking just at a side piece here, really around customer retention strategies. Now, we may all try and focus really on our DTC websites and our branding in regards to this, but I think it's even more important if Amazon is a major channel for you, you want to be driving customer retention and essentially trying to bring your customer back. So after acquiring new customers in Q4, it's really essential to keep them engaged. So create targeted campaigns, either using specific campaigns within the Amazon portal, potential loyalty programs or subscription models to retain your customers and encourage repeat purchases. There's the brand tailored promotions piece, which I find really valuable because now Amazon is segmenting those customers that are true loyalists to your brand, who are repeat purchasers, who have added product to their cart but yet to purchase. You can now target them specifically with a detailed promotion and essentially reward them. Not for those who haven't purchased yet, but those who are repeat purchase, definitely I think you want to potentially incentivize them so that they keep coming back to you and that you, as the brand, are reaching out to them and saying, we recognize that you're a valuable customer. This is a small gift for you. The next and last piece, sorry, here, when we're looking at reviews and optimize operations. Once Q4 is over, let's take time to review your campaigns, the sales and customer feedback to understand what's worked and essentially what hasn't. You then use this insight to optimize your strategies for the next year, ensuring you're even more prepared for the next quarter or the next Q4. Again, I mentioned A/B testing. This is incredibly powerful where it's needed to update the content based on the data-driven decisions. And really, you want to refine operational process to enhance efficiency. Now, the meat and potatoes of it, really talking about the campaigns side of things. So when preparing for Amazon Q4, we want to look at what we call a lead in and a lead out period and how you manage campaigns differently here. So really, it's important to start building awareness early, well before the peak Q4 of shopping. So consider using campaigns that focus on brand awareness, driving traffic to your listings, and engaging with new customers and building remarketing lists. After the peak days, like your Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it's highly recommended that you don't just turn off the campaigns because essentially you killed all the momentum that they've built up and the progress that you've done. So truthfully, there's still actually plenty of sales to come after those busy periods, and what we call those lead out campaigns help to keep your brand in front of potential customers who might still be in a shopping mood. Believe it or not, there's a high demand on Christmas Day and on New Year's and those days past the big peak periods where people are still shopping, which you wouldn't expect. So you just want to be prepared. I mean, have a campaign running even with a reduced spend, to say the least, and you will be out there competing when potentially some of your other competitors have pulled back. Hot topic is understanding how to manage now these higher CPCs, but with a focus really on how to use it with tacos. So during Q4, your cost per clicks rates undeniably are going to increase and could potentially be significantly higher than what they would be in previous quarters due to increased competition. But instead of really sticking to a fixed budget, what we'd recommend is to monitor your tacos. So tacos is your relevant metric comparing your total account sales versus your advertising, and what that is a percentage, or what percentage of your advertising is driving total account sales. So to understand the relationship between your advertising spend and total sales, adjust bids dynamically based on real-time data to make the most of high intent traffic while keeping an eye on overall profitability. Conscious, every brand, every business has different profitability and margins. Understanding this first and then going into Amazon should be how you define your budget. As long as your tacos is within range of that profitability, it's excellent. Some potentially your campaigns could be running a bit hot, but as long as it's driving overall sales and you're within that total profitability margin, that's essentially where your focus should be. Essentially, and also just repeating, letting a campaign run out of budget and stop, worst thing that could possibly happen in our recommendation. Next thing we want to be looking at is really essentially maximizing reach with targeted advertising. So using a mix of your sponsored products, sponsored brands, and sponsored display ads to engage customers at different stages of their buying process. This multi-layered approach really helps in assuring a wider audience. So from those just really browsing to those ready to actually make that purchase, we want to help, or essentially we recommend you implement retargeting strategies to reach customers who have viewed your product pages but didn't convert. And essentially, this ensures you're getting really the most out of your advertising spend by re-engaging with those high potential shoppers. And then lastly, how you look to leverage your advertising promotions. So really Q4 is time when shoppers are looking to deal or looking for essential deals and discounts. It's Prime Day now. Happy Prime Day to all. I hope you have a great success. I'm sure you are running deals. It would be highly recommended, but if you haven't, it's probably a little late, I would say. So getting these planned in advance when we're talking about the Q4 period and getting them submitted to Amazon and accepted is the recommendation here. You want to schedule promotions and in advance, of course, and take advantage of this, making sure your product's listings, again, are optimized with the relevant keywords, high quality images, and compelling copy to stand out from your competitors. Again, that optimization of your listing, the keywords that you are building into your titles and bullet points have to match, or is best recommendation to match those which you're driving in your campaigns. If one's not talking to the other, you are potentially driving traffic to certain keywords which aren't on your listing, which means your listing is not going to appear in the relevant places. So making sure those two key features are in place, you're going to have a better time. And then, of course, lastly, coordinating your promotional campaigns with your ad strategy to maximize visibility and drive conversions, as I said. I mentioned brand tailored promotions earlier in one of the slides. So just talking about this a little bit more in depth and really why this is such a powerful tool that you have at your disposal in how you can plan and gear up to Q4. Brand tailored promotions on Amazon is really essentially an excellent way to create tailored discounts and offers, but different segments of audiences. So by doing this, you can build a stronger relationship with both your existing and potential customers and ultimately drive conversions during the busiest shopping periods of the year. Just talking through a few variations of these, you have the brand cart abandoners. As mentioned, these are people who have added product to their cart but have yet to click the pay button. You have brand followers. So these are people who have actually clicked the link on your store. You may see when you go to your store on Amazon, on the top left side, you have follow button. These are people who are following your brand, want to be kept in touch and updated on anything new products being introduced, or messages from the brand, potentially in regards to promotions. And this is a direct way for you to communicate with those people who are most interested in your brands. You then have your highest spending customers. So this is really a more exclusive segment and the top 5% of the highest spending customers that you have. So these customers really are already a big fan of your brand. So essentially how we can keep them more engaged and encourage them to make more purchases, call it an exclusive VIP discount or early access to sales, is a great way to show appreciation and build what we brand loyalty essentially. You then have what Amazon would identify as potential new customers. And these are customers who essentially who have interacted with your brand, they've clicked on your product or added them to their cart, but haven't yet made a purchase in the past year. So this is looking at a much larger time frame. So your opportunity pool, I would say, would be a lot larger, but keeping in mind that I know from my perspective, when I'm shopping on Amazon, I click on a lot of listings, and I'm not always engaged with them. So although you're offering a promotion, it's essential to understand you're not getting charged by Amazon on the discount until that point. So you can assign a budget to any of these types of promotions, and essentially that budget is not going to be spent until someone actually does make that purchase. So keep in mind, it's a great way of actually clearing stock as well for any potential product that you're looking to move out or looking to discontinue, and is a great way to do so without spending or dedicating too much, let's say, without actually the customer making the purchase. Lastly, just finishing up on the top tier customers. Now, these are essentially the creme de la creme customers who have purchased recently, spent the most, and buy frequently. And we really want them to continue to be engaged and ensure they remain loyal advocates of the brand. So for them, think about creating an exclusive loyalty program or offering personalized discounts to make them feel like the real VIP here. Looking at timeframes now. I mentioned the lead in, lead out, and I've got a nice representation here of the key periods that we need to be looking at and focused for the big events. So in the previous slide, we discussed the importance of understanding those different customer segments and how to create those tailored promotions to effectively engage. Now, if we can connect that to your overall strategy with these key events that you can see on screen coming up, really crucial for the period for maximizing those sales. Now, the upcoming slide highlights really the major events, as I mentioned. So each of these events presents a unique opportunity to target specific customers. well within the crafted promotions and marketing strategies that you will be developing. Prime Day fall, although we're in Prime Day summer now, we have another Prime Day in the future, generally coming up in October. Um, so this event is obviously a fantastic one to be targeting promising customers and brand followers who have shown interest but need a little bit more encouragement to make a purchase. So really offering exclusive early deals to this group can drive conversions and build momentum as we approach the festive season. Halloween's not always, you would think, a busy period for us in the UK. We're not big celebrators of it, but you'd be surprised about what you can actually drive within this. Conscious that maybe the BHETA membership doesn't have exclusive Halloween lines, but I'm also conscious people are still shopping on Amazon. And essentially, to be visible on Amazon during these periods, you need to still be making certain pushes and promotions. Obviously, different keywords will be targeted during this time, and CPCs will be probably all over the place in terms of what's popular and what's not. So, this actually could be a better opportunity for you targeting your own branded keywords and driving those because potentially the CPCs will be a little bit lower. Then we come to Black Friday, the biggest of them all. So, Black Friday, as we all know, is essentially a key time to focus on those high spend customers and those top tier customers. So these are the most valuable shoppers to you, I think we can all agree. And exclusive offers such as limited time bundles can not only drive significant sales, but also strengthen their loyalty. Then we're talking about last minute deals, which is probably one of the second longest periods that we're looking at here. So this is about really capturing the attention of those last minute shoppers. So this is when we're talking about those brand cart abandoners, can be prime targets, essentially retargeting them with attractive offers or additional discounts for their compelling purchases to help really increase that conversion rate. Then lastly, we're talking about the end of year sales here. As I mentioned, people are shopping all the way through past into Christmas and Boxing Day. Um, so really, here we can leverage promotions essentially to retain what we call promising and top tier customers with some special loyalty or rewards going into next year, a preview of what the sales could look like, and help maintain that engagement after the holiday rush. Taking all that into consideration, the goal is to align these promotional strategies with your calendar of Q4 events to maximize your customer engagement and, more importantly, drive sales and growth. So really combining an understanding of both customer behavior with the key retail events, we can create a more targeted, efficient, and impactful marketing strategy that resonates with each customer segment. Now, we touched on inventory planning in a couple of slides ago, and potentially can be the, well, not potentially, it can be the make or break in regards to how your performance goes within the period. So when we're looking at this before major events in Q4, such as Black Friday, your Cyber Mondays, and the festive shopping season, Amazon starts to implement stricter inventory management practices to ensure smooth operations and optimal stock availability. So what needs to happen essentially before the Q4 period is stricter inventory storage limits for yourself. Amazon often restricts inventory storage limits for fulfillment because of the rush and the mass of product being sent to them in the period or the run up to the period. So you as Amazon brands need to essentially prepare for these peak periods and keeping an eye from a seller perspective on your IPI score. So what the IPI score essentially is, it reflects how efficient you are in your FBA management. If your IPI score is low, you may face stricter storage limitations, stock intake or deadline cutoffs. So looking at this is to ensure all items are processed and available for sale during those peak times. And Amazon essentially themselves set a cutoff date for stock intake. So understanding where this is and well in advance sending stock is highly recommended. Of course, sometimes there are what we call the appeals and restrictions. So during the season, restrictions on replenishing certain product categories or ASINs may apply, depending on sales history and performance. So sellers, just be prepared, may need to go into an appeals process to request additional inventory allowances, which also depends on your IPI score. When we're talking about vendors, hopefully you've got a vendor manager or an AVS team that can support you in making sure that you can get stock in. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using the what do you call it? The Born to Run program to update or get any additional stock in at that time. It's not essentially what the program is for. It can be used as a lever, I would say, to do so, but probably as a last resort. Amazon's going to be throwing POs at you left and right, conscious of that. But it's understanding, again, use the data from the previous year, if available, to understand what the demand was and what you need to be planning for, and then work with Amazon in regards to how you can get that stock in there and plan ahead as well. Then, sorry. Okay. So then just going back to the seller side of things and how you can prepare stock for yourselves in preparation for that potential cutoff date, while improving your IPI score, which is going to work in your favor and potentially avoid Amazon potentially cutting you off from sending more stock in. So focusing on managing your excess inventory and really improving the sell-through rates and reducing stranded inventory while also maintaining a high in-stock rate. All these things combined really help to increase your IPI score. This allows for greater storage capacity and fewer restrictions. And then essentially it goes into the next piece, which when you plan your inventory well in advance, you take advantage of essentially how long the event periods are and plan your inventory replenishment within that period where you're conscious of that potentially you're going to sell what you expected to, there's a little bit of inventory left, and then your replenishment is en route from there. Doing it in this manner minimizes the risk of missing out, doesn't disrupt campaign performance, and essentially maintains the Amazon algorithm in your favor while improving your IPI score at the same time. Thirdly, when we look at the how to use essentially a backup fulfillment operation, so consider essentially potentially a hybrid model. If it's within your ability as a seller, and you have the ability to fulfill from your warehouse, I recommend also creating a either self-fulfill prime listing or a merchant listing so that as your FBA stock would go out of stock, the buy box would shift to this alternate fulfillment option and your momentum can be maintained from there. And it appears that you do have still stock in the account. Just conscious that the delivery time will change. That may affect conversion, but essentially you will still have stock and you will be in a good place to carry on moving forward. When we're talking then again in regards to appeal for increased storage limits. So let's say you've got a big promotion, you've got big product that you need to push out, but Amazon is restricting how much stock you're actually holding. So once you get in contact with Amazon in regards to this, you need to anticipate needing more storage than your IPI score allows and considers. So just by going through the appeals process to request an increase based on your sales forecast or the previous performance, that data will justify to Amazon that you are deserving of actually getting this increase. But I highly recommend, again, looking at this data, understanding it, check now against what your storage capacities are. Does it match? Is Amazon giving you a lot less storage than what you previously forecasted? And then going and have that conversation with them. And then essentially looking at number 5 here, where we're monitoring inventory performance and what the key factors here are. Keeping really a close eye on your inventory performance metrics like excess inventory percentage, FBA sell-through rates, stranded inventory percentage, and your FBA in-stock rate. So, and then looking at taking a corrective actions in these can help, again, improve your overall IPI score and efficiency. And then lastly, the final piece here, when looking at leveraging tools for inventory management. So the best ones that I can recommend is essentially Amazon's tools for insights to forecast demands, avoiding overstocking and stockouts. So this again will help you to align your inventory levels with projected sales, ensuring you have enough stock to meet demand without incurring unnecessary storage fees. So by following these steps, you can better manage your Amazon inventory before any big Q4 event, and you're going to be ensuring maximized sales opportunities while keeping your costs in check. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. That was a really insightful presentation full of great information and practical advice. We now have time for a few questions. If you haven't already, please submit your questions using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We have a couple already for you. So, how can a smaller or newer brand best compete in Q4 when CPCs increase significantly across high-performing categories?
Great question. So I think I want to answer this essentially. If you are a smaller brand and you're going into this, I think you know that Q4 is a really high stake period with elevated cost per clicks, as we mentioned. But I think it's important to understand, from my perspective, at least smaller brands can still compete effectively by focusing on efficiency and not just scale. So at RT7 Digital, we would recommend essentially a three-pronged strategy. The first being tighten your targeting. So instead of going after broad or doubling down on highly relevant long tail keywords, we recommend potentially utilizing or focusing more on branded terms and those most non-competitive keywords, I would say, that everyone else is going after. So by doubling down on these areas, while also really taking a close look at what negatives you're using and really pushing those that you don't want to be targeting to reduce wasteful spend, would be the first piece there. Second is about leveraging your product differentiation. So this essentially means emphasizing your unique value props in your creatives, especially, sorry, with sponsored brand videos or A+ content. Understanding Q4 is an incredibly crowded place to be during on Amazon. So what can work in your favor is being really visually distinctive, and the benefit led gives you a fighting chance really against any bigger spenders in that space. And then lastly, time you spend strategically, I would say. So I wouldn't focus on you being on the account 24 hours, 7 days a week. There are tools that you can actually have in place and that we have available for our clients, not on the Amazon portal. So this is something we call day parting, or essentially some better budget management tools, I would say, like Amazon Marketing Stream. And this helps you to focus spend during those high conversion windows. Often smaller brands do better before peak days or just after, I would say. So when costs start to dip, but buyers are still active across all periods. So again, we help brands with Q4 launch pre-prep and awareness campaigns to help them warm up and audiences essentially targeting earlier. And yeah, if there are any brands out there that essentially just want to have a chat and see how we do this in actual real life, more than happy to speak with them.
Thank you. What are some practical ways to improve our IPI score quickly before Q4 to secure better storage capacity on Amazon FBA?
Another good question. I guess really improving your IPI score in the run up to Q4 is about being proactive in your inventory management today and trying to push through effective sell-through rate. So a guide that we would advise to our clients is about essentially clearing dead inventory. So identify those SKUs with either high aging or no movement and create flash deals, coupons, or even potentially removal orders as a last resort. But the goal there is to essentially show Amazon you're optimizing your storage. The next thing is to increase your sell-through with promotions, so the likes of lightning deals, prime exclusive discounts, or even multi-unit offers to drive volume on those slower moving SKUs and ASINs. And then, as I mentioned in the last slide, it's about managing that excess inventory before Q4. So don't wait until you get to Q4. Really, by next week, I would say mid Q3, you should have really a clear reorder plan and buffer stock of your best sellers while being aggressive about cutting dead weight listings. So again, we at RT7 track that IPI metric weekly and work closely with our clients to make real-time adjustments in preparation for those Q4 periods. And it's not really always just about selling more, it's about selling smart at the end of the day.
Thank you. Which Amazon tools would you recommend leveraging most to retain customers after Q4 and turn one-time seasonal buyers into loyal brand followers?
Great question. So something we've touched on in regards to how you manage campaigns and promotions as well. Retention is essentially what's going to make or break some of your brands or drive sales in Amazon. And sometimes actually retention is often thought as the missing piece in post Q4 strategies, I would say. So Amazon, I would say, has evolved these tools over time and now allows you to own that relationship a little bit more than they have in the past. So what I'd recommend, as mentioned in the beginning around brand tailored promotions, using the audiences. There's now a beta rollout in regards to this. So this allows you to remarket to previous buyers, high spending customers, and cart abandoners. All this needs to be focused on within that retention strategy. You've got subscribe and save or virtual bundles now rolled out. Subscribe and save has been around for a while, but turning customers into subscribers is a way of guaranteeing revenue moving forward, but just be conscious of the level of subscription that you're offering to them and potentially those fake subscribers, I would say, who just sign up for the discount and then leave there afterwards. So making sure the right products are then subscribe and save is the most valuable. But on the flip, virtual bundles, I think, are even more valuable, where you can offer maybe a flat discount across 3 of your top selling products, but it increases cart size immediately thereafterwards. Lastly, last 2 things actually in regards to this. So customer engagement tools. So under actually the Amazon brand registry, you're able to send branded marketing emails now. And this ensures, well, essentially this goes directly to the Amazon followers that we were talking about earlier who click on the store piece. So having this and promoting new launches and post Q4 promotions, keeping customer engaged will always essentially lead to retention there afterwards, but you have to be on top of that and implement a strategy that's going to go hand in hand. And then lastly, keeping your brand store updated, I would say. So keeping your Amazon storefront fresh and aligned with your goals, treat it like you would your D2C website and promote via both post-purchase packaging and social media, along with things like DSP.
Thank you. We have another question, and I think this may sort of tie with what you've just said. We have a vendor account with Amazon which sells seasonal Christmas products. We've previously pushed stock to Amazon with born to runs, which, like you mentioned, can be problematic. What other options are there to push stock to Amazon rather than rely on receiving their POs? And are there any other tools we can use to do a similar job to the born to run function?
So as far as I'm aware, there's no other tool within the vendor portal similar to Born to Run. That's going to be essentially you offering Amazon potential purchase order for them to accept or reject. Amazon, of course, do the bulk offers as well, which I don't always recommend doing because the risk involved in offering Amazon that decrease. And on the flip side, how they then subsequently take that margin away from any stock currently in their place. It's an interesting question. Generally speaking, well, it's actually harder now because you mentioned that your products are essentially Christmas focused. So I would traditionally say by driving more sales earlier on in the process, we'll get Amazon to ramp up the ordering there. But I definitely actually would like to have a conversation with you after this call potentially. And I'll bring in another strategist who potentially has some options or some insight into your question.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of today's session. Big thank you to Aaron for a fantastic presentation, and thank you all for joining us. To explore future events, please visit our BHETA website where you'll find upcoming webinars and resources. We really appreciate your time today and have a great rest of your day. I will share Aaron's contact details and the presentation and the recording following this webinar today. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Sam. Bye, everyone.